Sometimes we do believe that we have seen everything and nothing cannot surprise us, right? This actually is not the truth. This is a funny game of our brains. They're actually manipulating us. Anyway, the story that I'm about to tell you did not even exist in my best imagination. It is not some kind of hardcore adventure or difficult ride. No, it is about the human kindness. So if you have nothing to do, grab your favorite drink and stay with me. Welcome back. The other day I've got very interesting dispute with a guy on the topic where is best place to ride, west or east. I was for the east, he was pointing west, saying that in the west you can see everything, such a rich history, diversifications, mountains, passes, everything. And that is fine, I understand this, but not everyone wants the same. So in my opinion the east is better because the world is different and every day is a surprise. Alps are nice in the west, but how many times you can go into the Alps? Alright, fair enough, some people do it every year, but not for me. When you see it once, twice, 3 times, I don't want to go anymore. This is a big difference, that's why I always prefer to go to the places where people don't want even to see on the map. Pavlin, your last trip was exactly the opposite of what you're talking about. You went to Europe, don't you? Yes, I did. But if you remember, in the last 2 years, I planned a trip to Magadan. In the year before, it didn't happen because of COVID restrictions. Russia was closed, no visas. So I went to Turkey as alternative route. Turkey, by the way, it's a wonderful destination. I highly recommend it to anyone. And then this year, the war in Ukraine started. So all the borders were closed, no visas for Bulgarian people, so I have to make again alternative journey and I went to Europe. And don't get me wrong, Europe is nice. I saw everything that I have planned, but it was not what I wanted. In Europe, everything is predictable. And one guy from the channel even get angry because I said that everything is predictable, but it is what it is. I don't want to say anything bad about Europe, but it is predictable. There is no surprises, there is no interesting moments, at least for me. Once you go to the east, every day is like something absolutely new, and every day you're gonna say, fucking hell, what the hell is this? And someone need to go around you and just close your jaw like this, because you just cannot get it. Is that even possible? Anyway, I talk a lot. Let's go back to the story. In 2015, I went to Central Asia with my riding friend Dima. One of the countries that we wanted to visit was Turkmenistan. Even today, there is very little information about the country, especially from a motorcycle point of view. If I'm not mistaken, we were the first, or at least one of the first people who crossed the Caspian Sea by ferry from Baku to Turkmenbashi. The ferry itself was an adventure and it really deserved to be set in another story that I may tell you in the future. There are many reasons to visit Turkmenistan, but the main 3 for us were: it was the shortest road between Azerbaijan and Uzbekistan. We wanted to see the Door of Hell or the burning gas crater in Dervaza. And the third was that we wanted to see Ashgabat, the marble city or the capital of Turkmenistan. Here I have to stop for a while and go back just a few months before my trip. I was actually in Turkmenistan embassy in Berlin, Germany, applying for visa, filling all of these documents and so on and so on. And then I saw on one of the desks a small brochure leaflet with advertisement information about a specific village in Turkmenistan. The name was Nokhur. And I read this brochure, and Nokhur was described like the most interesting and most popular touristic village in Turkmenistan. They said that there is a famous trees, fountains, spring waters, clear air, and places where people love to go if you want to get a good health or something like that. So in my opinion, it was something like a resort village that maybe deserves to be seen. They've got even a small map showing you exactly where it is. It was located on 1200 meters above the sea level, and all of this explained the clean air and some like water cascades nearby. So I found this interesting, and I actually got this brochure. I took it with me and put it in my tank bag. I actually left it on the bottom of my tank bag and forgot about it. Back to Turkmenistan. As I said, the ferry itself was another adventure, but anyway, it was like a 24 hours ferry. So we arrived in Turkmenbashi, Turkmenistan, 7 o'clock in the morning. And because we were the first on the line, we said, okay, excellent. Now, after 1 hour, we'll be in the country and we'll go straight on to Ashgabat, which is around 600 kilometers from there. We can manage to do it. This was the plan. Yes, but no. The border was very slow. Everything was there made to, to stop tourists entering the country. They don't have any computers. Everything was written manually in big books like this. So you sit on the desk and the person opened this big book and said, name, Pavlin Zhelev. Nationality, Bulgarian. Passport number, After he finished with all the information, he closed the book, put it on the side, get another, and again, name, Pavlin Zhelev, nationality, Bulgarian, passport number, and then you go to the next counter, and then you go to the next counter, and the next counter, and the next counter. I count them all together, 7 different counters. Everywhere you spend like at least 30 minutes, you fill a lot of documents, you pay taxes. We actually paid something like almost like $200 before we even entered the country. They even gave us a specific route where exactly we need to go on the map and charge us 30 cents per every liter of petrol that we're gonna use, because for them the petrol was very cheap, something like 30 cents. So we were charged extra tax for petrol. So all of this procedure took us like 7 hours. 7 hours. We left the border around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We haven't ate anything since the morning. We ran out of water and we did not have much petrol in our tanks. And we said, okay, we can manage all of this on the road. Yes, but not really in Turkmenistan. If you don't know, 80% of the country is desert. There are just a few roads and they're not like the Europe's roads. There is no petrol station or restaurant behind every corner. The things are just different. On the top of that, I told you that they gave us a specific route where exactly we need to go and pay taxes for the petrol that we're gonna use. But I asked them, what about if we're not on the route that you gave us? And the police officer said that they said, if police stop you and you're not on the route, this is a big problem. I said, why? He said, this is a big problem. End of the story. You have to stay on the road. So with all of this in mind, we realized that this 600 kilometers, exactly what is the destination between Turkmenbashi and Ashgabat, became almost impossible to complete for one day, especially if you start riding 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We passed a few small towns and villages, but we needed to ride as efficiently as possible because of the time limitation. The transit visas that we've got were only for 5 days. On the top of this, we needed to stay on the route that they gave us. And it was not fun at all. There were no signs on the road, but to be honest, there were not many options where you can make a mistake and get the wrong road, for example. So we were tired, overheated and bored, but we just continued riding on autopilot. Then I saw a big blue sign on the road, Nokhur right. I immediately stopped on the road and started looking for the brochure that I told you about. Dima also stopped and I explained him what I was looking for. So I started reading again, 1200 meters, fantastic village, all of this clean air, fountains, water cascades and everything. We were so tired, so overheated that we just wanted to go there immediately. We checked the map, I checked with my map. We're exactly on this crossroad, so it is like 30 kilometers away. And then we stopped and said, oh man, what about these restrictions? We should have stayed on the road. But I told you, we were so tired, so overheated that we said, fucking hell, just go there. And we start riding direction to this village, completely ignore all the forbidden and whatever moment they told us. So after about 30 kilometers, we reached the first houses of the village of Nokhur, and they were just a normal small poor houses. I said, yeah, of course it will be on the center. Let's continue to the center and a few more kilometers and we were on the center. And we saw this like a small market. People are going here and there with donkeys, with cars. They're selling fruits, vegetables, watermelons, the normal crowd that you can see in every village around Asia. And then we stopped for a while and I said to myself, no, probably it's a complex outside of the village, so let's ride a little bit more outside. So we went out and rode a few kilometers just to realize that there is nothing. And we come back again to the village, and the first person that we saw there, we stopped him, and I asked him actually, is this Nohur? He said, yeah, it's Nohur. I showed him the map, this is Nohur. He said, yeah, this is Nohur. And I said, well, I read in this brochure that there is a famous tree and water cascades, and he said, yeah, there is one tree, yeah, there is one old tree here in the mountain, and this fountain and water cascade, it is there, you can walk there 5 kilometers, it is there, it's nothing, but it's there. And then I said, okay, we're fucked. And then I asked him, okay, that's fine, is there any hostels, or place to spend the night? No hotels or guest houses here. At that moment, reality punched us in the face. Then we spoke with another man, the same question, and of course, he said exactly the same, no hotels or guest houses here. Then he made a phone call and said, a friend of mine will come and host you. Then we looked at each other, don't know what to do, and asked, okay, but how much this will cost us? And the man said, nothing. You're our guests, we don't charge our guests. Thank you very much, I said, but I continue asking, is there any food there? Is there anything to eat? Or maybe it's a good idea to buy something before your friend comes. And he said, no, don't even worry about it. He will feed you, he will give you actually everything that you need. The only problem is that he doesn't really speak Russian, just a few words, but you'll be all right. And then we said, okay, we don't have any alternative, so we're gonna wait. And the man arrived after a few minutes with brand new Toyota Land Cruiser. And then he jumped into the car, and the guy that we spoke, he said, follow him, and he started going with the car somewhere. And me and Dima, we looked at each other again, don't know what to do. It was very strange situation in this small poor village. A guy stopped with brand new Toyota Land Cruiser. It was very suspicious and said, follow me where? We don't know where, no, we don't speak their language. They talk each other on their language, so it was. But then, as I said, we don't have any alternative, so we looked at each other and said, fucking hell, let's go there. So we followed this guy into his house. Then we went to the end of the village to a big house with fantastic views everywhere. Actually, 2 houses, one next to another. He opened the second house and gave us a room probably around 10 meters long and 5 meters wide. It was on the 2nd floor, decorated very nicely in a typical oriental style with a big soft carpets, a few sofas, big fireplace, and it was like a high luxury hotel, honestly. Over the fireplace, there were a few old pictures. I guess that their father, mother, maybe grandfather as well. And on the right corner, there was a picture of him with the president of Turkmenistan, Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov. That only meant that he is not a random person. Until we were removing our riding gear, they served dinner on the 1st floor. I said served dinner because the food that his wife and his daughters brought was more than enough for me and Dima for at least a few days. Even tried to stop them by saying that this is enough, but they kept bringing more and more. The owner of the house came just for a minute to check that everything is alright and then left us alone. Believe it or not, it was like a king's feast. We ate as much as we could and we went to sleep. On the next morning, I woke up probably around 7:30 and went down to the 1st floor where the toilet was, and then I saw that the dinner from last night was taken, and on the same place they served a fantastic breakfast. Everything that you can imagine. So I stopped there and said, Dima, come over. And he said, what? I said, come over. I said, why? I said, just come, man, just come. And he came into the stairs, just looked down, and his reaction was like this. After the breakfast, we start preparing the bikes, loading the luggage and everything, because we don't have much time to waste. And then the owner came. His name was Nurberdi. Nurberdi came to ask, is everything all right? Are we well? We slept well, or stuff like that. Everything on very, very poor Russian. And then he asked, where are you going now? And we said, we plan to go and see Ashgabat. And he asked, do you have a place to stay in Ashgabat? And we said, we don't have, but we don't know yet, we might not stay. And even so, he gave us his telephone and said, once you go to Ashgabat, give me a call, I have an apartment there, so I will tell you where to go, so you can sleep in my apartment for free, no money. And then I asked again, I even tried to give him money for the host or maybe for Ashgabat, but he said, no, he just continued saying, no, you're my guest, and he was very polite, making this all the time. So then he said something to his wife and his daughters on their language. And we were wondering what, but then after a few minutes his wife came with a big bag with food to go and cold water. And we were so surprised, and these people were so nice. And then we went to Ashgabat, we saw the town, but because it's like more like a town for show, something to see, like a big exhibition. We don't really want to spend the night there, so we went straight on to Dervaza gas crater, and we spent the night there. And the food that we ate that night was from Nurberdi's family. So after that, we left the village and hit the road direction to the dusty, hot and boring road. And then I was thinking, man, Nurberdi is a Muslim. We're Christians. He's not even biker. He's just an ordinary man. But even so, he gave us shelter, all the food, everything that we need, even food to go, and asked for nothing. If this was me in his position, meet two Muslims with car, because if they are with bikes, it's different story, but let's say they are with car, dusty, smelly, ugly Muslims in the car down there, will I bring them at my home where I've got two young daughters? And the honest answer is no. If you ask me why, I don't know. Maybe because our world is different. In my opinion, they lived in one completely different, maybe much better world. See you next time. Ciao.